This is kind of actually phenomenal for me because this is the third one of these talks that I've done today that I'm going to do. And so, it's Sunday. They say Sunday is supposed to be a day of rest. That's what God told Moses. I think it was Moses. Well, it comes from, after God created the heavens and the earth and man and every living thing, put the stars in the sky, the sun in place, all that kind of stuff. Said on the last day, this is a day of rest. So actually, we say Sunday because Sunday's the day we take. Saturday and Sunday are supposed to be days you have off. But it's kind of stupid that they made the first day of the week Sunday. In my opinion, I always thought that was kind of stupid. The first day of the week should be Monday. It's the first day of the work week. Anyway, there's a lot of stupid things in society. But, I've kind of already done my tour de force. And actually, this is what a tour de force is. I actually looked up the definition. Tour de force is an impressive performance or achievement that has been accomplished or managed with great skill. Whether or not I exhibited great skill or anything like that, I got bit by some mosquitoes because I'm turning the fan off to make the hearing better on my mic on my phone here. Mosquitoes are attacking me. That's part of the reason I got fans running. But anyways, because I'm looking at my letter. I'm looking at the letter I wrote to my dad, and I realized that that thing was. I wrote that in 1990, December 20th, 1990. Well, the one that I have in my book here, and it was a few days before Christmas in 1990. So that's more than 30 years ago. And I suppose I wrote this book that was the culmination of my spiritual pursuits. I came to somewhat of a plateau at this point in my life. I had already gone through a crisis, internally, spiritually, crisis of faith, dark night of the soul. 30 years ago, and when I read it, I still feel the same. But I gotta go ahead and read you this letter that I wrote to my dad. I was gonna read you the poem that I wrote from the hospital or the madhouse, but I think first I'll do this one letter that I wrote to my dad. And you got to pay attention to the last line, because in this I talk about what I call crazy religion. Because there's a lot of superficial religion. It's not really. There's no substance to it. It's not the kind of religion that you can actually be a scrapping human being with. I mean, not if you've experienced what I've experienced. I mean, I'm not talking about like scrapping, like being a bum or anything. I'm talking about getting down to the hard places. I was in the war. That was a very hard place. And during the war, I was also my wife had taken off. I took my kids to my mom's. She took care of them during the Gulf War, and then when things were up in the air, you gotta understand, my dream in life was to be married one time, have a family, be a good dad, stuff like that. But because I never had that, I wanted what I never had. I really wanted it, and I started out early pursuing it, with true sincerity. And when I was in the aboard the John F. Kennedy, out there, like I said in another talk, when I had my dream and everything, with my subconscious speaking to me, and about the dream when I got thrown overboard when the sharks came and all that. But so I'd have to think a little bit on to how I could actually describe the depth of my pain and my sense of abandonment by God, ultimately. And then finding in that abandonment a new kind of spirituality and faith, I was born again. Not like a lot of people say, you got to be born again to be saved. I was born again to be saved. Like the first time I repented of my sins, I was in 3rd grade, and I was crying. I was crying my eyes out at the altar. The preacher was preaching about hell, and I had visions of hell in my mind, monsters, fires, Oh, I was afraid. I was in 3rd grade. And I went to the altar and repented of my sin as a 3rd grader. Well, I had sinned. And my sins, I guess, were at that time as real to me as any other time in my life. And I was crying. And then every time I prayed for a long time, I would cry. See, I thought in order to be saved, you had to cry over your sins. And every time I prayed, I could cry for a long time. I don't cry today like that, but I was a little kid. And but anyway, I wrote this letter to my father, and you have to be a little bit older to actually probably appreciate my letter. I know if you're only 8 years old, you might not understand everything. But and I guess I was going to say, because look, I wrote this December 20th, 1990. Now it's 25, so that's 35 years ago. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm at the point where I realize that it could be time for me to go pretty soon. I'm 63 years old. My dad was already dead by the time he was dead at 62. I think my mom was dead at 63. How much longer do I expect to live? Well, I don't know. But I do realize, any day could be my last, especially now. But that's why I say I've already finished my tour de force. And so I hope you take heed to my words, because I've analyzed a lot of stuff, and I really want to tell you the most important things to me. I guess I started this kind of thing as a journal. Now I'm starting it. Now I'm talking like I'm actually talking to somebody. Well, I am talking to somebody. Hopefully, somebody will hear this. But as I talk to somebody, then that's how I know what I'm thinking of my own self. I'm talking to myself in a sense. So anyway, I write my dad, Dad, how are you? Actually, well, actually, I'm gonna pause this and take a drink first. All right, I'm at 10 minutes. I gotta kind of hurry up, man, because my feet are getting bit up. All right, Dad, how are you? I could write about a lot of things, but I'm really busy and tired lately, so for now, just a brief. But I've been attempting to get some words together over your last letter regarding my thoughts about God and life. My dad was questioning my thoughts about God and life, and I wasn't, thinking in traditional. I think it's what you call like traditional stuff, and that's why I write him this letter. I was thinking outside the box, like okay, like fundamental religion is what I call superficial. All right, it's you believe like basic things, okay, and you just have to believe it, and that's how you make it through life. Well, I question those basic things. Like one of the basic things is the simple thing is, well, you got to confess Jesus as your Savior, otherwise you're going to die and go to hell. And once you confess Jesus as your Savior, well then, you have to do the basic things, follow the 10 Commandments and try to live by, principles set forth by Jesus and the disciples and, the Bible. And, when you die, and you go to heaven. You're still alive in your consciousness. And, you gotta die and go to heaven. Well, and to prove that, if you die, when you ascend to heaven, well, and just like Jesus, when he ascended to heaven, see? So, if you can believe that Jesus ascended to heaven in his physical body, well, then you can, believe that you will be like in your body when you go to heaven. I don't know if that's true. It's hard. I think that's a metaphor. Hard to believe that, but if you believe the metaphor, even if you say it's a metaphor, if you say, well, this is just what it seems like, okay, well, and this is what we believe, then it can be comforting. But, for me, it's a little too simplistic and out of step with reality. And my orientation is, you have to be grounded, see? And you got to be grounded in reality. Not crazy religion, not feeble platitudes, not dogma, not the fundamental breakdown of religious thought based on people who wanted to control society. Whatever. You find out in life there's a lot of fake stuff. In fact, the book of Jude is all about imposters. Paul wanted the church to, well, I don't know if Paul wrote that book. I mean, the book is named Jude. Maybe Paul wrote it to Jude. I don't really remember Jude writing anything, but maybe Jude did write a book. I don't know. Maybe it is his writing. Sounds like Paul. But regardless, I mean, this was a letter. It was written to the church, and he's talking to them about, beware of imposters. You hear that word, imposters. My grandma used to talk about imposters a lot. Well, anyway, I think there's sometimes there's things that are imposters to actual true piety or good religion. Some things are imposters to it. Some people like to believe that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff is really not for me. So anyway, I just wanted to give you that context. But I've been attempting to get some words together over your last letter regarding my thoughts about God and life. So for now, let me suffice to say, my perception, because he was questioning my perception. My quote-unquote perception is fine. It's at the point of the burning bush. All right. So this is This is where what I'm trying to explain here starts. The burning bush. My perception is at the point of the burning bush. All right. It's at the point of the burning bush. What more can you tell me? What more can you tell me, Dad? If there is anything you want to talk about at the bush, it's okay. I'm not afraid of the fire, but you know as well as I do all the analogies that fire brings to our life. Especially when it doesn't make sense. The letter I wrote was written at the fire, and that's where God is. So if you pity me as one not yourself, but standing aloof, sane. The poor kid, what's he doing at the fire? Point is, I'm reaching well-being through abandonment and understanding through silence. The mysterious is becoming obvious. Things are getting worked out, but it's all at the bush burning without reason. And it's all about confronting God as God is. Not as I wish God was. I guess I'll try to explain better the burning bush. One can't understand the burning bush. It doesn't make sense. That's not the way it's supposed to happen. And if you think you understand through some superior reasoning, you're only kidding yourself. And that's as bad as patting someone on the back at the death of someone they really loved and trying to console them with your understanding. That's pitiful. And their response should be like that of C.S. Lewis in Shadowlands. When his wife died, he said, "It doesn't work, sir." Or something like that. When people are not at the bush, they have crazy religion or familiarized platitudes at best. There's nothing sacred about that. I was told that Supply took on 3,000 body bags for our ship and 2,000 for the other ships with us. If I come home in one, don't tell Adam to look at the big picture. Don't tell Amber that God had or has a reason. Don't give them feeble platitudes and crazy religion. Tell them they got to stay near the fire, embrace the pain, because that's reality. When Hussein attacks Israel and Israel unloads atomic bombs on Baghdad, annihilating 4 million, when the whole house of contentious fumes bursts into flames at the strike of one match, and 100 years later, we're all dead. Dead because we said okay to atomic warfare. That's the big picture. And it's futility. It's futility. But the big picture has nothing to do with the relationship of a child and his father, or us and God. Well, yeah. That's what I wrote my dad. The last line. The big picture has nothing to do with, well, actually, the big picture has everything to do with the relationship of the child and his father. But in the sense I was talking, the whole world getting blown up, that's a big picture. But I was telling my dad, look, if you want to go deep in the conversation or something, let's get out of this stupid shit. Let's get out of the feeble platitudes and the stuff that just don't work. Like, somebody saying, well, you'll see him again in heaven. Well, that don't work. That don't work. The person's gone. They're not coming back. Right. Well, we die in life in many ways, and sometimes you have to say, well, you can't say, well, they're gonna come back. No, the situation ain't gonna be what it is. That's short of a miracle, which most of the time don't happen. Like, Edward Cohen song, so you want it darker. 1,000 candles burning for a love that never came. What do you think about that, 1,000 candles burning for a hope that never came. 1,000 candles burning for an answer that never came. Well, happens that way sometimes. That's reality. And if you gotta have any courage at all, when you're confronted with hard reality, you better try to muster as much as you can, and exercise the tour de force. This talk here was about being grounded and staying near the fire of reality, because reality is a fire. You can't be afraid of it. You can't let it burn you up, though, either. Example in the Bible is that's where God speaks. That's where God spoke to Moses, is the fire that burns without reason. Sometimes life burns without reason. Sometimes you might be, well, at least like I was, even accused of something you never did. Somebody might say something bad about you, like I told you, like about that police report that was made about me when I, for crimes that I have committed. Jesus Christ, man. Sometimes you feel like, you're being sliced and diced, man, by the devil himself. Just cutting you through, spear in the heart. Well, in my next one, from the hospital to the madhouse, which I think I might go ahead and do that now. There'll be like 4 of them today. But that was my experience when I wrote. It's like a prayer and a poem, a meditation actually, and a prayer come out of my meditation. Turned it into a prayer. This was an exercise that I did for a class that I was taking when I was a graduate student Union Seminary. So anyway, I think I might just go into that poem right now. But as far as this talk is concerned, I'm talking about staying near the fire of reality, and embracing it. Like I used to watch Kung Fu when I was a kid, and he's a monk, a shaman, or whatever they call it, shaman. And he, like, inside of the armchair, you know, like this. Okay, you got to carry a big pot, and the pot had the emblem of a dragon on it, and you got to squeeze that, and it's got hot coals in it. And you got to squeeze it with your arms, and it's burning your arms full of hot coals, all right? But it's the imprint of a dragon. It's burning right into your flesh, and then you carry it through the snow, and then you set it somewhere, and you have to do that in order to graduate. And then you got the scar of the dragons on your arm, that you have already completed your tour de force. You know, you completed your training. You're entering the world. Well, I'm just saying, it's like fire. It is fire. And it scars you if you're a shaman, monk, you know, Kung Fu. And played by David Carradine. Well, look, you know, you get the point. Stay near the fire. Don't go for stupid crap. You know, like, don't follow, you know, crazy religion or superficial kind of bullshit. You know, stay grounded. Stay in reality. You know, keep the higher consciousness with you. You know, spirit. You know. And try to exercise skill. You know, admonishing myself. I don't know how much longer I got to live, but and I'm admonishing you. You know, I love you. It goes without saying. I kind of feel funny about saying that sometimes, but because I don't know, you know, my words are kind of like special. I try to not overuse certain things, you know. All right, bye.